The massive chamber floated in the darkness of space, a structure so large it could swallow Earth's moon. Inside, representatives from 400 alien species gathered in circular rows that reached toward the ceiling like an amphitheater. Lights from 1,000 different flickered and glowed as the beings moved and spoke in their various ways. Captain Park stood in the human observation gallery, his hands gripped tight behind his back. His uniform was crisp and perfect, but sweat ran down his spine. Below him, on the main floor, Ambassador stood alone at the speaker's podium. She looked so small surrounded by the massive aliens and their floating platforms. "This is wrong," whispered to his second officer. 200 years. We've been part of this community for 200 years. His officer said nothing. What could anyone say? The chamber's central hologram displayed the charges against humanity. The words floated in the air, translated into every language present: aggressive expansion, excessive military buildup, violation of development protocols, refusal to follow treaty limitations. The list went on and on. His voice echoed through the chamber. "We have followed every law, we have paid every tax, we have contributed to this council's peacekeeping forces, we have shared our culture, our art, our science. And now you want to exile us because we move too fast, because we build too much, because we dare to protect ourselves." A massive creature that looked like a floating jellyfish pulsed with red light. Its translator device spoke in flat, emotionless tones. "The collective has observed humanity for the full duration of your membership. You have colonized 47 star systems. The average species colonizes 8 to 12 in the same. You are not normal. You are dangerous." "Dangerous?" His voice cracked. "We have never started a war with any council species. We have never broken a treaty. We have never." "You have developed artificial intelligence beyond permitted levels," another alien interrupted. This one looked like a collection of crystals arranged in a vaguely humanoid shape. "You have built warships 3 times larger than defensive parameters allow. You have contaminated developing species with your cultural broadcasts. You claim these are accidents, but we see a pattern." Watch the voting board light up on the wall. Species were already making their decisions before even finished speaking. His heart sank. This wasn't a trial. This was a sentencing they had already decided. "Try it again. If we have violated any law, let us make reparations. Let us prove ourselves. Don't cut us off from the galaxy. Don't condemn billions of humans to isolation." The High Arbiter, an ancient being that looked like smoke given form, spoke for the first time. Its voice was like wind through caves. "The Council recognizes Ambassador's passion. However, the charges are severe. The evidence is clear. We will now vote. All in favor of exiling humanity to their home system for a period of no less than 50 standard years, mark your decision." The board lit up like a Christmas tree. Green lights appeared one after another, each one a species voting yes to exile. Counted them. 100, 200, 300. The red lights, votes against exile, appeared slowly, scattered among the overwhelming green. 312 green, 89 red, 23 amber abstentions. "The vote passes," the High Arbiter announced. "Humanity will withdraw all presence beyond the Sol system within 10 galactic standard years. All trade agreements are hereby. All embassy staff must depart council stations. A barrier network will be established to ensure compliance." Collapsed to her knees. The chamber erupted in noise as species debated and argued about the decision. Some seemed satisfied. Others appeared troubled. None seemed to care about the human ambassador crying on the floor. Left the gallery and ran down to the main floor. Security drones moved to stop him, but he pushed through. He reached and helped her stand. "Come on," he said gently. "We need to go." "I failed," she whispered. "I failed everyone." "No, they failed us." They walked together through the massive corridors toward the docking bay where the human ship waited. Other humans joined them, embassy staff, trade representatives, military liaisons. Everyone was leaving. Behind them, they could hear the sounds of celebration from some species and argument from others. At the docking bay, ship, the Resilience, sat ready for departure. It was a beautiful vessel, sleek and fast, built with both human and alien technology. Soon they wouldn't be able to get alien parts anymore. Soon they would be alone. As the ship pulled away from the station, stood on the bridge and looked at the... Already, construction vessels were moving into position around Sol System's outer edge. They were building the barrier, massive satellites that would prevent any faster-than-light travel in or out of humanity's home system. Joined him at the... Her eyes were red from crying. What happens now, she asked. How will Earth survive without trade, without technology exchange, without the protection of the Council? Was quiet for a long moment. He watched the barrier satellites begin their deployment, each one locking into position like prison bars around his species' home. Something cold and hard settled in his chest. Not despair. Something else. Something stronger. They think Exile will break us, he said. They think cutting us off will make us weak. They think we'll come crawling back, begging to follow their rules. Won't we? Asked. Smiled, but there was no humor in it. No, we're going to do what humans have always done when someone puts us in a corner. We're going to survive. We're going to adapt. We're going to become stronger than they can imagine. He turned to face his crew. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. We need to get home and start preparing. Preparing for what? His second officer asked. For the day they realize their mistake, said. For the day they realize that humanity doesn't break. We don't give up. They wanted to exile us. Fine. But they're going to learn that their rules don't apply to us. They never did. The Resilience jumped to faster-than-light speed, racing toward Earth before the barrier was complete. Behind them, the Council continued their business as if nothing important had happened. They had removed a troublesome species. They had restored order. They were satisfied. They were fools. In the observation gallery that had left behind, a young alien watched the human ship disappear. She was a junior representative, barely old enough to vote. She had voted against the Exile. Now she wondered if they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. Time would tell, and time, she suspected, was not on the Council's side. 15 years had passed since the barrier went up around Sol System. 15 years of silence from humanity. The galaxy had moved on, barely thinking about the exiled species anymore. Deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, in tunnels carved 3 miles below the surface, Dr. Minu stared at the impossible numbers on his screen. Around him, 100 scientists worked at their stations, filling the massive underground laboratory with quiet conversation and the hum of equipment. Run it again, Minu said to his assistant. I need to be sure. The simulation played out on the holographic display. A ship entered quantum space, not through the normal hyperspace lanes that the aliens used, but through a completely different method. It tunneled through reality itself, bypassing every known law of physics. It works, his assistant breathed. It actually works. Minu allowed himself a small smile. It works. We can get through the barrier. They locked us in using technology they understand. But this, he gestured at the display, this is something new, something human. Above the underground lab, in the cold Antarctic wind, ships landed and took off from a massive spaceport that hadn't existed before the Exile. Humans had built it in secret, along with hundreds of other facilities across Earth, Luna, Mars, and the asteroid belt. On Mars, in the orbital shipyards above Olympus Mons, young engineer worked on the hull of a new ship. It was massive, larger than anything humanity had built before, and it was just one of 200 identical vessels under construction throughout the solar system. Pass me the plasma welder, she called to her partner. The ship's design was strange, using principles that made no sense to traditional physics, but the equations worked. Minyu's team had proven it. Now and thousands like her were building the hardware to make it real. "Do you think they're watching?" her partner asked, looking out at the distant Earth, a blue dot in the Martian sky. "Oh, they're watching," said. "They have drones on every planet we used to own, but they're watching empty worlds. They think we gave up and went home," she grinned. "They have no idea what we're doing here." In Earth orbit, Admiral Sara Lee stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's new flagship. It was a warship, but not like the ones they had built before. This ship used weapons systems developed without alien oversight, without alien restrictions, without alien fears holding them back. "Status report," Sara commanded. Her tactical officer responded. "All weapon systems operational, shield generators at full capacity. The AI integration is complete." Sara nodded. The AI integration was key. Before the Exile, the Galactic Council had strict laws about artificial intelligence. AI could only be tools, never partners, never equals, but humanity had ignored those laws and the results were remarkable. The ship's AI didn't just follow orders. It thought, adapted, learned. It was a member of the crew. "Thank you, Arya," Sara said to the empty air. "You're welcome, Admiral," a pleasant voice responded from the speakers. "I have completed the analysis of the Council's military tactics. Their doctrine is 3,000 years old. It has not significantly changed in that time. I believe we have advantages they cannot counter." Sara smiled grimly. "Good, let's hope we never need to prove it." But she knew better. She knew what was being built across the solar system. She knew about Minyu's breakthrough. She knew that humanity was preparing for something big. On Earth, in the United Nations building in Geneva, President met with her cabinet. She looked older now, her hair showing gray, but her eyes were sharp and determined. The failure at the council had changed her, made her harder. "Minyu confirms the technology works," she said to the assembled leaders. "We can break through the barrier whenever we choose. The question is when, and what we do when we get out." "We should send a scout ship," suggested the defense minister. "See what's changed, see if they're still watching." "They're watching," said from his seat near the window. He was an advisor now, too old for active command but too valuable to ignore. "The question is what they'll do when they realize we're not trapped anymore." "Maybe nothing," the foreign minister suggested. "Maybe they'll leave us alone if we stay quiet." Shook her head. "No, they exiled us because we scared them. If we come back stronger, they'll try to exile us again, or worse." She stood and walked to the window, looking up at the stars. "We need to be ready, not for peace, for war." "Are you sure?" asked quietly. "I'm sure," said. "They made their choice 15 years ago. Now we make ours." 3 months later, a small ship called Pathfinder launched from Jupiter's moon Europa. On board was Captain Park, no longer young but still sharp. His crew consisted of 20 volunteers, all veterans of the pre-exile fleet. "Engaging quantum drive," the pilot announced. The ship shuddered, reality twisted around them, and then suddenly they were through, past the barrier, past the satellites, free. They jumped to one of humanity's old colonies. The planet appeared on their screens, green and blue and beautiful, but empty. The cities they had built were overgrown. The spaceports were abandoned. "Scanning for surveillance," the tactical officer said. "Found them. 30 drones in orbit, automated. They're watching but not reporting real time, just recording." "They're not expecting anything," said. "They think we're beaten, that's good." He turned to his crew. "Mark every drone position. We'll need that data." They spent a week visiting humanity's abandoned worlds, mapping the surveillance network, testing their new cloaking systems against alien sensors. The aliens never detected them. Not once. When they returned to Sol system, slipping through the barrier as easily as leaving, went directly to the presidential palace. Was waiting. "Well," she asked. "Our technology works better than expected," reported. "They can't detect us. They can't track us, and their military presence is minimal. They're not expecting us to come back. Walked to her window and looked at the ships under construction in orbit. 15 years ago, they exiled us because we were dangerous. They tried to make us weak. They tried to cage us. She turned back to, "It's time to show them what we became in that cage." "Are you ordering the fleet to deploy?" "Not yet," said. "First we watch, we wait, we prepare. But when the time comes, and it will come, we'll be ready." They wrote the rules, they enforced them, but they forgot something important about humanity. "What's that?" "Rules only matter if everyone follows them, and we never agreed to their rules in the first place." Across Sol system, in shipyards and laboratories and military bases, humanity prepared. They had been exiled, isolated, cut off from the galaxy. The Council expected them to collapse or surrender. Instead, humanity had evolved. The countdown to their return had begun. 25 years after humanity's exile, the galaxy discovered a new nightmare. They came from beyond the galactic edge, from the dark space between galaxies where nothing was supposed to exist. The first system to fall was a minor colony world near the rim. All communication stopped suddenly. When scout ships arrived, they found nothing. No planet, no star, just empty space and a massive structure that looked like a metal sphere consuming the last fragments of matter. The Galactic Council called them harvesters. They were machines, enormous and ancient, and they ate everything. Planets, moons, asteroids, even the stars themselves. Everything they consumed became part of them, building more machines, making them stronger. The Council sent their fleet. It was a disaster. Ships exploded against shields they couldn't penetrate. Weapons that had kept peace for 3,000 years barely scratched the harvester hulls. The machines moved through space in ways that violated physics, appearing where they shouldn't be able to reach, ignoring the normal rules of faster-than-light travel. In 6 months, 34 star systems died. Billions of aliens perished. Entire species went extinct. The refugee fleets fled toward the galactic core, but the harvesters followed, always consuming, always growing. On a research station orbiting a gas giant in Council space, Park worked late into the night. She was Daughter, a brilliant physicist who had been studying with Council scientists when the harvesters arrived. Now her research had a new focus: survival. "Look at this attack pattern," she said to her colleagues. 3 aliens gathered around her screen, their different forms of eyes all focused on the data. The harvesters don't think like biological species. They process information faster than any computer we have. They adapt to every weapon after seeing it once. "Then how do we fight them?" asked one of the aliens, a being that looked like a collection of floating crystals. "I don't know," admitted. "Everything we try fails." She didn't tell them about the message she had sent through secret channels. A message toward Sol system. A message to her father and to Earth. She didn't know if anyone was listening. Humanity had been silent for 25 years. In the Council chamber, panic had replaced order. The High Arbiter struggled to maintain control as species screamed at each other in dozens of languages. "We need a unified response," the Arbiter said. "Our divided fleets are being destroyed one by one." "We need the barrier technology from someone suggested." "There is gone," another replied. "Consumed 3 days ago." Counselor, the being who had led the charge to exile humanity, rose to speak. The chamber quieted. "There is one species that might help us. One species known for military innovation and aggressive tactics." "You mean the humans," the Arbiter said coldly. "The species we exiled." "Yes," said. "I was wrong about them, I admit it, but we need them now. Their technology, their weapons, their methods, we need to lift the quarantine." "Absolutely not," the Arbiter responded. "We established that exile with good reason. We will not reward their violations of our laws." But even as the Arbiter spoke, junior counselors were sending secret transmissions toward Sol system. They didn't know if the humans could hear them. They didn't know if humans would even care. But they were desperate. Deep in Sol system on Earth, those transmissions arrived. President sat in her war room, surrounded by military leaders and scientists. The images from the galactic edge played on every screen. The harvesters destroying worlds. The council fleets dying. The civilization that exiled humanity now begging for help. They exiled us, Admiral Sora said flatly. They cut us off. Let them face this alone. Trillions are dying, responded. Trillions of beings who voted to exile us. Not all of them voted yes, Minyu pointed out. And even those who did, do they deserve this? The room fell into argument. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted to help. Some wanted to ignore the galaxy entirely and focus on defending Sol's system. Now very old and using a cane, struck the floor to get everyone's attention. Stop, he said quietly, but everyone listened. This isn't about them. This is about us, about who we are, about what humanity stands for. They don't deserve our help, a general said. Maybe not, agreed. But we're not doing this for them. We're doing it because it's right. Because if we let the harvesters consume the galaxy, eventually they'll reach us. Better to fight them out there than cornered here at home. He looked around the room. Besides, when this is over, they'll owe us everything. The exile they imposed, the rules they enforced, all of it ends the moment we save them. We won't be asking for permission anymore. We'll be writing the rules. Nodded slowly. You're right, we fight not for them, for us. She turned to Admiral Sora. How fast can we deploy the fleet? 24 hours, Sora replied. We've been ready for years. Then do it, send everything. Across Sol's system, alarms sounded. In shipyards from Mercury to Neptune, crews rushed to their vessels. 200 warships, built in secret over 25 years, powered up for the first time. They were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, massive, powerful, and equipped with technology that broke every rule the Council had tried to enforce. Commander climbed into the cockpit of his fighter, a sleek craft called Shadow. Around him, hundreds of other pilots did the same. They had trained their entire lives for this moment, never knowing if it would come. Now it was here. All pilots, Sora's voice came through the comms. This is Admiral Lee. 25 years ago, the galaxy exiled us. They thought we would fade away. They were wrong. Today we show them what humanity has become. Today we remind them why they feared us. And today we save them whether they deserve it or not. Launch when ready. The fleet jumped to quantum space. Reality twisted around them. The barrier network that had trapped humanity for a quarter century was nothing to their new drives. They passed through it like it wasn't even there. And then they were free, racing toward the galactic edge at speeds the Council said were impossible. In the research station's communication console chimed. She looked at the message and gasped. What is it? Her colleague asked. It's a human fleet, breathed. 200 ships. They're heading toward the harvester concentration at Sirius system. But that's impossible. Humans are exiled, they can't. They're coming, said, a smile spreading across her face. Humanity is coming to help. In the council chamber, alarms blared. The High Arbiter received the report with shock. A human fleet has breached the barrier. They're moving at speeds we can't match. They're heading directly into harvester space. Allowed himself a small, grim smile. So they heard our messages. What do? Someone asked. Nothing, the Arbiter said quietly. We watch, and we pray they're as good as we feared they were. The human fleet emerged from quantum space at Sirius system. Before them floated a harvester construction sphere, a massive structure converting the binary star system into more machines. Council refugee ships fled in panic. Harvester fighters swarmed like angry insects. All ships, Admiral Sora commanded from the bridge of the Defiance. Weapons free, show them what humans can do. The battle began, and the galaxy watched in awe. The Battle of Sirius began with silence. For 3 seconds, the human fleet simply appeared, 200 ships materializing out of quantum space in perfect formation. The harvester machines noticed them immediately. 1,000 fighter drones turned toward the new threat. Then the humans opened fire. Commander pushed his fighter into a dive that should have killed him. The G-forces should have crushed his body. But his AI partner, integrated directly into his flight suit, managed his blood flow and consciousness. Together, human and machine moved as one. Shadow Wing, follow my lead, called to his squadron. They dove toward the harvester sphere, weaving through defensive fire that would have destroyed any council ship. But human shields didn't work like alien shields. They learned. Each hit made them stronger against that type of weapon. The AI systems adapted in milliseconds. Weapons fired, not lasers or plasma like the Council used, quantum disruptors that attacked the harvesters in ways they couldn't defend against. The first drone exploded into fragments, then another, then 10 more. "This is impossible," one of the watching Council captains broadcast. "How are they moving like that? How are they surviving hits that should destroy them?" On the Defiance, Admiral Sora watched the battle displays with satisfaction. 25 years of development, 25 years of innovation without the Council's restrictions. It was paying off. "Target the sphere's power nodes," she commanded. "Arya, coordinate the attack pattern." "Acknowledged," the ship's AI responded. "Calculating optimal firing solution. All ships will fire simultaneously in 3, 2, 1, now." 200 human warships fired at once. Their weapons hit the harvester sphere at precisely calculated points. The structure shuddered. Lights flickered across its surface. For the first time in months of fighting, the harvesters had taken real damage. But they adapted fast. New shields appeared. Different defenses activated. The harvesters were learning too. "They're adapting to quantum disruptors," Arya reported. "Recommend switching to graviton pulse weapons." "Do it," Sora ordered. The human ships switched weapons without missing a beat. This was another advantage. Their weapon systems could reconfigure on the fly. The Council's ships had fixed armaments. Human ships were flexible. On the research station, watched the battle with growing hope. She fed tactical data to the human fleet, information about harvester patterns and behaviors. To her surprise, they listened. More surprisingly, they responded. "This is Park on Station 9, she transmitted. "Human fleet, the Harvester Core is located at coordinates." "Received, Ms. Park," a woman's voice responded. "Admiral Sora. We're already moving to intercept. Thank you for the data." "You're welcome, Admiral, and thank you for coming." "Don't thank us yet, we haven't won." But they were winning. Slowly, methodically, the human fleet tore apart the harvester defenses. They lost ships, 15 destroyed in the first hour. But the harvesters lost hundreds of drones, dozens of construction vessels, and for the first time they retreated. "They're pulling back," reported from his fighter. "The sphere is moving away from Sirius." "Don't let it escape," Sora commanded. "We need to capture it, not destroy it." "Capture it?" asked. "Admiral, that thing is the size of a moon." "I'm aware. Doctor has a plan." Minyu's team had joined the fleet on a specialized ship called Insight. Now they moved close to the wounded harvester sphere, dodging its remaining defenses. They deployed a device that looked like a metal spider with dozens of legs. "Deploying the TAP," Minyu reported. "If this works, we'll have access to their communication network." The spider attached to the sphere's hull, its legs dug deep, searching for data connections. The harvesters tried to kill it, but human shields protected the device. After 10 tense minutes, Minyu's console lit up. "We're in," he breathed. "I can see their network, theirs, oh no." "What is it?" Sora asked. "There are thousands of them, thousands of spheres like this one spread across the galaxy, but they all connect to one central mind. One nexus controlling everything. It's located. He pulled up coordinates. 4,000 light-years from here, beyond any explored territory. Can you hack it? Maybe, but not from here. We'd need to get to the nexus itself. Sora considered this. Then that's what we'll do, but first we have conditions for the Council. She opened a transmission on all frequencies, broadcasting to every Council ship within 100 light-years. This is Admiral Sora Lee of the Earth Defense Force. We have stopped the Harvester advance at Sirius. We can teach you how to fight them. We can lead you to their central nexus and end this threat. But there are conditions. In the Council chamber, the transmission played for all to hear. The High Arbiter's form rippled with emotion. They dare make demands, someone shouted. They just did what our entire fleet couldn't do, pointed out. I think we should listen. Sora's voice continued. First, the Exile is revoked, completely. No restrictions. Second, humanity receives full Council membership with equal voting rights. Third, all limitations on human technology development are removed. Fourth, reparations for 25 years of isolation. And fifth, a public acknowledgement of the injustice done to us. The chamber erupted in argument. Some species refused immediately, others considered. Still others pointed out that they had little choice. The harvesters were still coming, still consuming systems, still spreading. You have 48 hours to decide, Sora said. After that we return to Sol and wish you luck. Choose wisely. The transmission ended. The human fleet held position around Sirius, guarding the captured sphere, protecting the fleeing refugees. They didn't attack. They didn't threaten. They simply waited. In the Council chamber, the debate raged for 2 days straight, argued passionately for accepting the terms. They saved Sirius. They can save us all. Our pride isn't worth extinction. But giving them everything they ask for, the Arbiter protested. They're extorting us. No, said a small voice. It was the junior representative who had voted against Exile 25 years ago. She was older now, more confident. They're correcting an injustice. We exiled them wrongly. We cut them off. Now they're offering to save us despite what we did. The question isn't whether their terms are too steep. The question is why they're willing to help us at all. That statement changed the mood. Species began to reconsider. The vote was called. This time the results were different. 387 in favor of accepting humanity's terms, 41 against, 0 abstentions. The motion passes, the High Arbiter announced, its voice heavy with resignation. Send the message to the humans. We accept their terms, all of them. On the Defiance, Sora received the transmission and allowed herself a smile. Acknowledge their acceptance. Then prepare the fleet. We have a war to win. Join the human fleet, along with dozens of Council scientists and military officers. They would learn human tactics. They would fight alongside humanity. And together, they would strike at the heart of the Harvester network. Watching from Earth received the news with satisfaction. It took a galaxy-ending threat to make them see reason, he said too. Maybe that's what it takes, replied, but we're not done yet. Now comes the hard part. Saving the galaxy. No, said, making sure they never forget who saved them. The combined fleet, human ships leading, Council ships following, jumped toward the galactic edge, toward the unknown, toward the Harvester nexus, toward humanity's destiny. The combined fleet fought for 18 months. System by system, they pushed the Harvesters back. Human tactics and weapons led the way, while Council ships followed the new strategies. It was brutal. Thousands of ships were destroyed. Millions of beings died. But slowly the tide turned. At the Battle of Vega Cluster, Admiral Sora used quantum mines to destroy 47 Harvester worldships in a single coordinated strike. At the defense of Andromeda Gate, calculations allowed the fleet to predict Harvester movements and stop them before they reached the galactic core. At Delta, Minu's hacking protocols disabled an entire Harvester battle group without firing a shot. The galaxy learned to fight. Human methods spread through every species. AI partnerships became standard. Adaptive tactics replaced rigid doctrine. The Council military transformed from a peacekeeping force into an army capable of winning. But the true enemy remained untouched. The Nexus, the central mind controlling every harvester in the galaxy. "We have its location confirmed," Minu reported at the War Council meeting. Human and alien commanders gathered around the holographic display. "It's in dark space, beyond the galactic rim, a structure the size of a solar system." "Can we reach it?" asked. The old counselor had become one of humanity's strongest supporters, working directly with Sora on strategy. "Yes," Sora replied, "but it will take everything we have. A direct assault on their home base. They'll know we're coming, they'll throw everything at us." "Then we need a plan that they won't expect," said. "Something they can't adapt to." "Had an idea. What if we don't try to destroy it? What if we get inside and shut it down from within?" "That would be a suicide mission," someone pointed out. "Yes," agreed, "it would be." The final assault force consisted of 50 human ships and 200 council vessels. It was all they could spare. The rest needed to defend against remaining harvester groups scattered across the galaxy. They jumped to dark space together, emerging at the edge of the unknown. The Nexus hung in the void like a metal god. It was massive beyond comprehension, a structure built over millions of years, consuming entire galaxies. Millions of harvester ships protected it, more than the fleet had ever faced at once. "This is it," Sora said quietly. "If we fail here, the galaxy falls." "Then we don't fail," responded. The battle began. It was chaos. The harvesters attacked from every direction at once. Ships exploded by the dozens. But the fleet pushed forward, fighting with everything they had learned. Human innovation and alien determination combined into something greater than either could achieve alone. Led a strike team of 12 ships, 6 human, 6 alien. Their mission was simple: get through the defenses and reach the Nexus core. Plant a device that Minu's team had designed. Get out if possible. They dove into the maelstrom. Harvester fire tore through their formation. 3 ships died in the first minute. But the others pushed on, their shields adapting, their AI partners calculating impossible flight paths. "Almost there," called to his team. His ship, the Shadow, had taken heavy damage. Half his systems were offline. But he could see it, a gap in the Nexus structure, an entrance to the core. "Shadow, this is Defiance," Sora's voice came through static-filled communications. "We're taking heavy casualties out here. How long until you complete the mission?" 5 minutes, responded. He didn't mention that his life support was failing, that his ship wouldn't survive the return journey, that this was always going to be one way. 4 more ships died reaching the entrance. 2 human fighters and 2 alien corvettes. That left 6 ships including Shadow. They flew into the Nexus interior, into a space filled with processing centers and power cores the size of planets. "Minu, we're inside," reported. "Where do we plant the device?" "Transmitting coordinates now," Minu replied. His voice was tight with emotion. He knew what this mission cost. "It's been an honor." "The honor is mine, Dr. Shadow out." They flew deeper. One by one, the other ships fell. Harvester defenses tore them apart, until only Shadow remained, racing toward the central core with its payload. Saw it, a massive sphere that pulsed with energy, the brain of the entire Harvester network. He armed the device. It wasn't a bomb. It was a virus, designed to override the Nexus programming, to shut down every Harvester everywhere simultaneously. "For Earth," whispered. "For humanity, for the galaxy." He dove Shadow directly into the core. The device activated, the virus spread, and died knowing he had saved everything. The effect was instantaneous. Across the galaxy, harvesters stopped. Their weapons powered down. Their ships went dark. The machines that had threatened to consume all life simply stopped working. In the command ship, Sara watched the displays change, harvester signals disappearing everywhere. The threat was over, but the cost was heavy. She had lost good people, hundreds of others. "Admiral," her communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving surrender notifications from remaining harvester groups. They're shutting down voluntarily." "Tell the fleet to cease fire," Sara ordered. "It's over, we won." But victory felt hollow. She thought of and all those who had died. They deserved better than this quiet ending. 3 years later, the galaxy had transformed. In the rebuilt council chamber, now called the Galactic Federation, humans sat as equals among hundreds of species. The old system of one-way voting was gone. In its place was a true democracy where every voice mattered. Park, now the youngest ambassador in Federation history, presented proposals for joint research programs. Human and alien scientists would work together on projects that had seemed impossible before. Minu received the Galactic Medal of Science, the highest honor possible. He used his speech to announce new partnerships with 40 different species, sharing human technology freely. Admiral Sara Lee retired after the war. Her military manual became required reading at every defense academy in the galaxy. Young officers of every species studied human tactics and methods. President negotiated the new Galactic Charter, creating a government that protected all species equally. The document included specific protections against exile or discrimination. No species would ever be cut off again. Now ancient and frail, walked through the new Federation memorial with his daughter. The monument listed every name of every being who had died fighting the harvesters, human and alien together. "Do you think it was worth it?" asked her father. Looked at the names carved in stone. His name was there along with thousands of others. They exiled us because they feared us. They were right to fear us, but they were wrong about why we were dangerous. "What do you mean?" "They thought we were dangerous because we were aggressive, because we expanded too fast, built too much, but that wasn't what made us dangerous." He smiled at his daughter. "We were dangerous because we refused to accept their limitations, because we believed we could be better than they said we could be, and we proved it." He gestured at the memorial, at the Federation building behind it, at the mixed crews of humans and aliens working together in the plaza. "This is why we were dangerous, because we didn't just want to survive. We wanted to change things, make them better, and in the end, that's what we did." On Mars stood in the completed orbital shipyard watching new ships launch. But these weren't warships. They were exploration vessels, colony ships, research stations. Ships built together by humans and aliens, heading out to discover new worlds, new possibilities. One ship, the Unity, prepared for a journey beyond the galactic rim. Its crew included members from 20 different species. Their mission: explore dark space, find new galaxies, and make sure nothing like the harvesters ever threatened them again. "Ready for launch," the captain reported. She was human. Her second in command was. Her chief engineer was from the species that had voted for humanity's exile all those years ago. "Launch when ready," transmitted from ground control. "And good luck." The ship jumped to quantum space and disappeared, heading into the unknown. Back on Earth, in the presidential office, received a message from. The old counselor had become one of humanity's closest friends over the years. "I want to apologize again," the message said, "for the exile, for not trusting you, for nearly destroying what could have been a great partnership." Smiled and recorded her response. "You don't need to apologize anymore, old friend. The exile was the best thing that could have happened to us. It forced us to become stronger, smarter, better. Without it, we might never have developed the technology to defeat the harvesters. Sometimes the worst things lead to the best outcomes." She paused, then added, "But let's never do it again. Deal?" The Federation thrived. The old barriers between species fell away. Human technology spread throughout the galaxy, but alien wisdom shaped how it was used. Together, they built something neither could have created alone. And humanity, they never forgot what it felt like to be exiled, to be cut off, to be told they didn't belong. That memory made them better leaders, better partners, better friends. They ensured that every species, no matter how small or different, had a voice in the Federation. 50 years after the exile, the barrier satellites around Sol system were finally dismantled. But instead of destroying them, they were converted into research stations. The largest one was named Station, in honor of the pilot who saved them all. Park died at age 142, surrounded by family and friends both human and alien. His last words were simple: we showed them all. And they had. The vote to exile humanity had passed. The galaxy had tried to cage the most dangerous species they knew. But in doing so, they had created something far more dangerous: a humanity united, determined, and unstoppable. The rules hadn't applied to humans, they never had, and in the end that made all the difference.